Coming to you live once again from the Bonfire Studios North. It's another live episode of Toros Weekly. I'm your host, Peter Theodos. Joining me, as always, Mr. Ken Oda. Ken, great weekend for the Toros, exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, you can't really complain about outscoring a team 16-3 on the weekend, setting some new records. 11 goals, tied the most we've ever scored in a game, and then the margin of victory 11-3. That 8-goal margin is the largest margin of victory we've ever had. So some records there. 11, the most we've ever scored on the road. That was the first time we had done that. So really just all around a good weekend, and a lot of guys ended up on the score sheet. AJ, who we'll talk to later, gets the first shutout of the season for the Toros, which is the latest we've ever had our first shutout in the season, but still our first of the year. And then after that, 6 guys went on to top prospects and put up. Cole O'Connell had a goal and an assist. Russ had a goal. Buchholz he was only credited with 1, but he should have had two assists. And Skinner had an assist, and of course Clevin and Baumgartner were there too for Slex. Clev had a bunch of chances. Baumgartner looked really good as well. So just all in all, a good week since last time we talked. Good week for the Toros.
It's kind of ironic, and you hate to say this, but the 2 11-goal games that the Toros have had this year have been against St. Cloud. So
it's, I don't think that's a coincidence. If you look, the last few seasons, we've put up big numbers against St. Cloud. I think last year we were their home opening weekend. We shut them out both games and scored 7 the first night and 6 the next. I think as a franchise, we have 14 hat tricks, and 8 of them have come against the Blizzard, whether it was in Alexandria, Brookings, or St. Cloud. So really, all in all, for whatever reason, we've put up good offensive numbers against those guys. We've also, until AJ's shutout on Saturday, had trouble keeping the puck out of the net. Every time we've played St. Cloud up until that shutout, we'd given up at least 3. So for whatever reason, high-scoring games whenever we play St. Cloud. And fortunately, we've been on the right side of the score sheet most of the time the last few years.
We'll get to AJ here in a little bit to talk a little bit more about that shutout. But first, let's bring in our first guest of the evening. A first time we've had a non-Toros staff member or player on the show. But fans, please welcome Mr. Mike Van Hove to Toros Weekly. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be here.
Mike's a member of the Minot Minotauros Booster Club. So we brought you on to talk a little bit and give some updates about what the Booster Club's doing right now.
A lot of big stuff going on coming up over the next, really, month and a half.
Yeah, we've got a big month, 6 weeks coming up here, Ken. You're absolutely right. We're going to roll out the raffle. That's something we've done. It's kind of a joint venture with the Toros. This year we got some amazing prizes again. There is a Toros wrapped refrigerator, a Yeti cooler that's wrapped in Toros, and there's also the rocker locker that, of course, has got the Grantley Johnson G. A lot of good photos on there. And there's an amazing quilt, as always. That's always kind of the highlight of our raffle is the quilt. That's what got it started.
That Yeti cooler's been sitting in the office for a little bit now, so Ken, if that thing goes missing, it wasn't me.
I think Marty's eyeing it for the lake.
Well, he can buy some tickets.
Speaking of tickets, how would one go about buying those tickets and getting those tickets?
The tickets can be purchased from any Toros player or any Minot Minotauros booster member. We will all have tickets available, and they will also be available at the 50/50 counter at every home game.
I know we'll get some pictures of that stuff up on social media before the next home game as well, so fans can get a look at that Yeti cooler that was wrapped by Too Dark. The rocker locker also wrapped by Too Dark, and the fridge I don't think we actually have yet, but I know that'll. Jen and Tad over at Too Dark do a great job. That thing will look awesome once we get it too. And
anything
and the
they do is going to be phenomenal.
And the quilt, the last one we had was awesome. I saw this one. I saw pictures of it floating around. This one a little bit more manageable size, a queen size quilt. So I think that one will be popular too.
Yes, I think it's going to be a big success. The raffle always works well for us. It's a good way for the players to get out and meet people, and just let the community know who we are, what we're doing, and come and enjoy hockey.
Another big thing that the Booster Club is going to be doing coming up shortly is the awards dinner as well. Why don't you give some more information about that?
Okay. In the last 3 years, I believe it's been that the boosters have taken over the role of kind of operating the awards banquet.
Thank you, by the way.
It's been fun. The guys. It's kind of a night to, feature them. So we don't want any staff or anybody working that event. Basically, we can take that role over, and this year we'll be holding it. It's going to be at the Sleep Inn. Tickets are available as well from a booster member or Toro's office. You can contact the Toro's office. Tickets will be available. We do a silent auction at this. The community is more than welcome to attend. That's what we want. This is a night for us to, showcase what these boys have done throughout the year.
So you don't have to be a Booster Club member to attend, right? That's just any Toro fan who wants to come hang out for the night?
Absolutely. The more the merrier. Anybody is welcome to attend.
I believe there'll be the Family Feud style game by I'm blanking now, but
yes,
there'll be a Family Feud style game. We'll get the players up there. Last year they took on some fans, I think. That was fun. And then the silent auction, I just actually talked to Amanda Bauer earlier today. It sounds like several of the D1 Toros alum are sending items that are signed, and some of the D3 guys too. So there'll be some unique items that you can't really get anywhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's, the support from the past players is becoming pretty, it's growing and growing as we see more and more guys going on. So that's great to see. And hopefully in the future there's some more.
Another thing that you guys are going to be doing is Family Weekend, which is coming up in 2 weekends. Or next weekend, I guess.
This weekend, coming up, but the weekend after.
Absolutely. That'll get underway, I guess, for the Booster Club on Thursday night. We're going to do a movie, Oak Park Theater. Everyone, again, we want the families, the players, get everybody together as early as we can and get this rolling. The boosters will pick up the tab for your tickets, and we hope to see as many family members as we can get there.
I think we've heard from 15 of the 23 families so far, so off to a pretty good start. I know there's a couple others that have responded that they can't get here, which is understandable, especially for the guys coming from Europe, but should be a good turnout as always.
Great.
You're also not only a part of the Booster Club, but you're also a billet family, you and your wife, Dee. And just what are some of the things that goes into being a billet family? Like, what do you do behind the scenes that really help make Minot the best place to play?
Well, being a billet family is, it's pretty important, I think. From what we have to do is provide a quality place for these kids to stay and, some good food and some wholesome food. We're, a little bit of, we're there to provide what they need. That's what we're there to do. Sometimes they need a little help with laundry or anything like that. That's our play.
Hey, I had some friends who were billets who one time got a call from their player while they were out because he didn't know how to boil water. So, in some of these cases, you are raising one of these guys.
Absolutely, Ken. Each and every one of these guys are different. They come in and you're not sure and they're not sure what you know or what they think you know. So everyone's different. It's always fun and challenging to help them along their way.
If you had to pick one player that you've had, not to call out any of them and say that they were bad, but if you had to pick one that was either the most memorable or the most favorite that you've had, who would it be?
That's just not a nice question.
Yeah,
it's really not. I know. I'm putting you on the spot here. You're on the hot seat, but
every billet son, we like to call them, that we've had, they've been exceptional. None of them, we've never had a terrible experience. There's always ups and downs, and everybody has, different opinions at times. But I think if I had to pick, I would probably, and I know he's watching.
You also have one at your house right now.
I would say the very first billet that we had, is probably the most memorable because it was just our first experience. And, you know, he was a veteran billet. He'd been on the road. He knew the rules. He knew the ropes. He come in. It was James Ledouce.
You know, I think that's probably a fairly common answer if you talk to a lot of billets. Not that the luster wears off or anything like that, but I think that first billet, especially if it ends up being a player who you have for a full season or a couple of years in some cases, but talking to a lot of billets, that first one seems to be a deeper relationship, and I think, you know, it, like you said, it's your first one. It's the nature of it, and you know, once you maybe experience a player or two having to leave your house, then you don't necessarily get as close as maybe you did with the first one.
Absolutely, Ken. We've had some great billets that have unfortunately had to leave partway through the season, and it doesn't make them any less special. It's minor. It's junior hockey. It's the way it works.
So if there was someone that was on the cusp of being a billet and they weren't exactly sure if they wanted to, what is one thing you would say to them to help them decide and make that decision to be a billet?
I guess one thing is that, you know, it's a lifelong bond that you're going to make with these guys. We know their families. We know where they are now. You made another friend for life.
I think was it Tim and Jody Meckley are out in Seattle right now, or they were out in Seattle last weekend attending the wedding of one of their former players. So, you know, you stay in touch with these guys after they leave, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We hear from them, you know, all occasions, you know, birthdays, Christmas, you know, whenever. You either send them a note or they'll send you a note. It's just, you know what they're up to.
Mike, I know you got somewhere to run, so we'll let you go. But thanks for coming on Toros Weekly. It's been a good insight to see what the Booster Club and what it's like to be a billet. So thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, fans, that is Mike Van Hove. Where is Mr. AJ? Sean, you're going to have to adjust the camera on this one. He's a little bit taller. Fans, welcome back to Toros Weekly. Mr. AJ Ruskowski.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Yeah.
Probably the last Toro in town, so you didn't really have a choice.
Well, it's actually interesting too. You were one of the only players. There's a couple of you guys that have come up and be like, "Hey, I want to be on Toros Weekly again." So
it's just
glad to have
time.
you. Yeah,
it's good
great
to be
timing
here.
to
Great cookies. Got a nice piece of cake today, so it was
exactly.
Nice.
Please take a cookie.
Yeah,
Might as well.
I will.
Not till we're done talking to him. We don't want to
Yeah,
hold his mouth
exactly.
open
Yeah.
over there.
To be polite.
So yeah, let's. We mentioned it in the opening, but you did get the Toros' first shutout of the season this year. Only faced 12 shots though.
Yeah.
So we'll go back to that. But how did it feel to be on the ice after being back?
Yeah, I obviously felt good. Didn't get a game there for a little bit, but I thought that the team played really well in front of me, and we obviously finished off a good weekend with 4 points. So,
You know, we mentioned it. We talked a little bit about it on the bus after the game. Just 12 shots. As a goalie, it's got to. On one hand, you love the guys blocking shots and selling out the way they were. You know, especially when the game's clearly already going to be a win. You know, late in the third, guys are still going down blocking shots, and it's a 5-0 game. You know, they probably could have let it through.
Yeah.
But so I'm sure it feels good in that regard that they've still got your back like that. But also, 12 shots, that's got to be kind of boring and get frustrating.
yeah, I mean, there were some times where they didn't have a lot of in-zone time in our defensive zone, which, I mean, I'm not complaining about it, but I mean, at the same time, it's kind of tough to kind of stay in that groove as the whole 60-minute game goes along, only facing 5 to 6 shots a period. But yeah, it was.
I think you only saw 2 in the third. How do you keep your focus?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to question the authenticity of those shots, but no, it was good. I mean, at the 5-on-3 at the end there, it was kind of late in the game, so you kind of were already already into it, so that
Yeah.
was when they got the majority of their chances in the third. So yeah, it was good.
You had that stretch where you were between the pipes there for a while Benny was hurt.
Yeah.
Benny came back. Was the transition going back to being the backup goalie hard or difficult for you?
Not really. I mean, obviously you want to play every game. Like that's why we all play. We love playing the game. But at the same time, I know Benny's a heck of a goalie, and I know my role in when I came here, it was going to be to, hey, you go in, you play your best when you get the opportunity to, and then step back and kind of learn from Benny, and hopefully next year will be a great year for me. So,
What's some things that you've learned from Benny throughout this season?
probably just the way that he handles himself, like every day. Like there's no drills off in practice. He's competing the whole time. He's letting me know when he wins, and I'll let him know when I win. But yeah, no, I think we have a really healthy relationship, and we kind of push each other every day. So,
How difficult has it been going stretches like you did this most recent one where you as the backup, if you don't play on a weekend, you're going literally 2, sometimes 3 weeks between seeing live action.
yeah.
How difficult is that for you, and what do you do during the week of practice to make sure you're ready to go?
Yeah, I just, like I said last time I was on here, I think your practice just have to be that much better. Like you kind of have to simulate the in-game reps as much as you can, and at the same time, like Waz and Marty are pretty open with me about when I might be getting a game, so I can kind of get ready mentally in that capacity. But yeah, no, I think just stepping it up every day in practice and working hard for Monday through Thursday. So.
We had Waz on last week, and he talked about how much faith he has in you and how happy he was when you got that stretch. Not that he was happy that Benny was hurt, but he was happy to see you step up and really, really take control and solidify your role on the team. How much does having the coaching staff's faith in you make it easier to deal with maybe not getting every start?
Yeah, I think it helps a bunch. I mean, I'm just really grateful for Marty for bringing me in and giving me the opportunity to stick on this league. I've been trying to get here for a while. So, yeah, and then with Waz, he's talked to me a lot of times, like, hey, like, if I had a couple bad starts in a row, and he was like, hey, like, we still believe in you. We get you're in a tough situation sometimes, but it's, I don't know. I mean, I'm just happy when I play, obviously, and just try to take advantage of it. So,
With top prospects being this week and Marty and Wags out in Boston,
yep.
we saw Wags leading Waz leading some practices.
Yeah.
Was it more of a goalie focused practice, or was it more of just a normal practice?
No, I'd say it was more or less a normal practice. Some of the drills were different, obviously, because Marty wasn't running it. But at the same time, it was the same kind of setup, a couple warm-up drills, some competition drills. So, yeah, it was good.
We also had a new assistant coach out there as well.
Yeah.
Our bus driver, Mr. Brad
Yeah.
Porter. Was it kind of weird seeing him out there? And what is your take on his hockey skills?
Yeah, he was obviously good. He was buzzing around. He was out with us in St. Cloud when we were there for morning skate. So that was my first time I saw him on the ice, but I love it. Yeah, he was buzzing around, helping out with drills. So, yeah, one of the guys.
Were the guys given a little extra in practice, just afraid that he'd call them out?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We did have a pretty good, we scored 11 goals that night. So on morning skate, and then when he was out there, maybe the guys were giving it a little more. So.
We briefly talked this morning about coming on, and you mentioned something that was interesting. You said you went to 4 different high schools in 4 years.
Yeah.
What's the backstory on that?
Yeah, so I moved away from home when I was 15, and my first year was in Ann Arbor, and I had an unbelievable billet family. Like, we're still really good friends to this day. So when you're younger, you usually live with a kid who also plays on the same team. So it kind of makes the transition a little bit easier. But I'm still best friends with him, and we hang out probably 2 or 3 times a summer just to stay in touch. So that first year was in Ann Arbor at Ann Arbor Pioneer High School, right across from the big house. And then the second year, I was in Rochester Hills, and I went to Avondale High School for the first semester. And then the second semester, I ended up going back to my home school of Traverse City West, which I went to freshman year, so I could play baseball.
Nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And then my 4th year was online, so that was different, but at the same time, I think I definitely had to mature a little bit quicker, just to know that, hey, no one's really watching over your shoulder that much. Like, you have to get your assignments done and all that stuff. But yeah, so it's been a long journey to get here, but yeah, it's been good.
You know, you mentioned living with a billet family when obviously we just had Mike on to talk about billet families and all that.
Yeah.
What, from a player standpoint, how important is a billet family and that beginning transition period when you're first moving into a house where you don't know that person?
Yeah. For me, I think I'm on my 6th billet house that I've lived in over the last 5 years. So I think that first year was definitely like a little bit different. You kind of had to feel your way out, but they were my first billet family. Like, I can't say enough about them. Like, they welcomed me in with open arms, and like I said, I'm still best friends with them to this day. But I think every billet families, they're all have their own individual ways of how they try to include you and how they want to make it the best experience for you. And I think I can honestly say I haven't had a bad experience with my billets so far. So
Well, good.
yeah, it's been good.
I want to go back to this last weekend that finished up, and the shutout was awesome on Saturday. But Friday night, you were supposed to have the night off.
Yeah.
And you ended up having to jump in. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. Usually the officials will give a goalie. Benny, for those who weren't watching, Benny had a lace break on one of his leg pads. I think it was his right leg. And all of a sudden, just the pad wouldn't stay on, and he had to go get it tied up. And usually they'll give a guy 2-3 minutes and let the trainer fix it, but it seemed like they were kicking him off the ice right away. I don't know if it had something to do with the score being out of hand.
Yeah, I don't.
But have you ever had that happen to you? And what was it like? What was going through your head when all of a sudden you're like, yeah, you're in?
So the pad breaking, doesn't happen to me a lot. It usually happens when we're bag skating in practice. Maybe your pad will break, and then you'll have to go fix it. But no,
break,
so I've
break in quotes there.
yeah. But no, like, I obviously saw the play. I think Winter came down and like had a little breakaway on him, and he kind of slid across, and then he like looked right down and instantly looked to the bench, and I knew right away that something was up with his pad. And so it might have been because we were up by so much, they just kind of wanted to get out of there. I know we had no TV timeout in the third either, so I don't know. I've never had that situation happen to me before, but I'm just glad I didn't let one in when I went in.
Yeah. What was Benny saying about it when he was coming in or coming over to the bench?
He didn't. He just was like, "Yeah, my pad's broke," and then the ref's like, "All right, your backup has to go in."
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if Marty tried to get some more time out of it, but yeah.
Like I said, I've only seen it in the past where like I said, the officials typically give a goalie 2 or 3 minutes at least
to try to
before
fix it. Yeah.
forcing the backup in. But it was an interesting. Did you even see a shot during that stretch? You weren't credited with the save.
No, I saw one.
Okay.
But yeah, it was the easy one. So.
All right, just one more little topic here, but if just random topic, but if you were on an island, a deserted island,
all right,
and this is a question that I'm going to end up asking the rest of the team too, kind of just do a survey. So, if you could take one teammate with you, unfortunately for that teammate, onto this deserted island, who would you want to take?
All right. For my goal to be to get off this stranded island, I'd probably have to take Charchenko. Maybe he could, build something to get us off the island. But
I'm gonna go the other way. Which teammate would you not want with you? See if I can cause a little trouble in the locker room here.
Okay. I'll have to see. If we were on a stranded island, maybe Petey, but then if we were on other sides of the island and he was talking, I could still hear him. So that's maybe not. I don't know. Who would I not want to bring?
You could always just cop out and say Wags. I think everyone on the bus would say Wags.
Wow.
Not technically a teammate, but
you know what? we're in a little bit of beef right now. I wouldn't want to bring OC.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
Perfect.
She's yelling at me to pick him up from the airport today. It was just not good.
Picks up the goal and the assist at top prospects. He got a big head, and all of a sudden, is that what you're saying?
No comment.
You're just here so you don't get fined.
Yeah.
All right, fans, that's AJ Ruskowski. AJ, thanks for coming on the show again, buddy.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me.
Ken, not much to wrap up with the bye week.
No weekend games to preview here. We do have. I'm looking forward to Sunday night, the superhero dinner for all those people who were nominated last month for our superhero night. We've invited them all to the Mesa. We've got Bones Barbecue helping out. Pepsi is providing drinks. Pride Dairy is providing dessert, some ice cream. So it should be a good event on Sunday night for those My Not Heroes and the people who nominated them. But no hockey. We actually get to get to bed before midnight on a weekend here. It'll be nice.
Maybe watch some XFL action too.
I just say we get to bed before midnight. I am old. What happened to me?
Fans, that's another live episode of Toros Weekly. One quick shout out, though, I do have from Ken and myself and our cameraman, Sean Bachhoven. We'd like to wish his wife, Patty, a very happy early birthday. So, Patty, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Patty.
That's another episode of Toros Weekly. For Ken Oda, AJ Ruskowski, who's right over my shoulder, I'm Peter Theodos. We'll see you next week.